It's 1929. The lower-stuffed women's sanctuary for enraged beagles is forced to close due to an inadequate cabbage facility. All across the land, men in brightly coloured hats return to work in miserable grey factories, manufacturing plaster of Paris thighs for wounded antelope, something in unusually high demand that year. And all of their hats are burnt, while a Welsh choir of mildly ticked-off accountants sing lullabies for the hard-of-hearing greengrocers one street over. Norman Smashpiss abandons his mouldy fake tits by the side of the road and runs off to join the Badger's Auxiliary balloon-licking unit, fighting the difficult Eastern Front against some pretty miffed nuns who, while accidentally drunk on Jesus Love, a sort of blue syrupy liquid sold only in the National Peanut Butter Museum, ploughed a tractor into a bakery specialising in novelty-shaped bagels and donuts filled with sugared hair. Meanwhile, in the quaint hamlet of Horsey, Mayor Algonquin Periscope is preparing to throw caution to the winds and wear that lemon-striped balaclava his Auntie Yolanda knitted him and that he always secretly loved but never had the huge, hairy, pendulous bollocks to wear. Until now. And in green, fertile meadows, dancing happily like horny gazelle or an in-heat Lionel Blair, maidens from a nearby finishing school, starting academy and stopping again emporium, perform the rites of spring, while a pale and wan boy named Aloysius melancholily plays the euphonium full of penguin eggs to nobody at all. And in churches across this fine land, little children stand by other little children who stand by cardboard cutouts of other little children, themselves standing next to unseemly blow-up portraits of Bobby Davro's back fat, which are propped up against old dirty copies of What Parmesan Monthly that was edited by a gentleman called Rupert who had a risque t-shirt featuring a naked Julie Andrews and vaudeville annoyance Jiminy Cricket having a teacup full of pudding at a government-sanctioned orgy. This was Britain. This was life. This is why we got up each morning, stood and stared at the sky, proclaimed ourselves British, violently sneezed, realised that was probably the most exciting thing that would ever happen to us, and then slip into the inevitable misery and despair needed to correctly greet the day. We were British. We were alive, and by God, nobody was going to tell us we couldn't prod foreigners with a stick for asking directions to Pizza Hut without the proper level of humility and guilt. That was Hibiscus Farty, poet laureate and renowned trouser depressive, reading from his book of folk songs for the purpose of one day winning an award. Next on Radio Flange Goblet, oh, you all know the drill by now. We are here.
Oh, Midtown House Specials.
What are we? Where are we?
Well, that's what I like about it. It's called Welcome to Midtown Restaurant.
Yeah, we're in the Midtown Restaurant.
Why are you called Midtown Restaurant? Because we're a restaurant in Midtown.
In Midtown. That works.
But Frank, we should call it something else. We should call it the Flash, the Zip. What was my name again? The Zip Zap Boom. The Zip Zap Boom Diner. That would be...
Why would you call it the Zip Zap Boom Diner?
Oh, because people would go, wow, that seems like a cool
could equally call it the Diner Diner.
I'm just saying it's a very un-New Yorky name to call it
the Midtown Restaurant. No, it's not.
Well, I just mean it doesn't have a lot of pizzazz. I like it that it doesn't have pizzazz. I'm saying it's a nice thing.
So I have this theory.
Okay.
That if you're in a diner and you think it's not very good, always go for the breakfast, because
everywhere can do a breakfast. Like, it's difficult to fuck up, like, eggs and bacon. No, I think it's a good diner.
Okay.
They've got good whatever. But if you think it's a good one, try the burger, because the burger is the cornerstone of a diner, like, heritage and history.
All right.
So I'm probably going to go for a burger. I have this whole thing, right? It's very unexciting, but...
I'll go with the Midtown wrap. Scrambled eggs with ham, peppers, onions, American cheese and salsa.
The Midtown burger is a twin burger.
Really?
Yeah. Twin burger topped with bacon and jack cheese. Whatever the jack shit that is.
It's Monterey Jack, right?
Whatever.
I know. Thank you very much. I don't know why they bother giving their cheese different names.
It all tastes the same.
This one's got red bits in it. Well done, America. Well done for putting different colours in your cheese.
Wow. The deluxe burger platter comes with French fries, onion rings, crisp lettuce, and red ripe tomatoes.
Wow.
Oh, this is going to be such a great episode. I can feel the
energy.
feel the zingers and the energy going back and forth.
Well, you're grumpy and I'm knackered. That's the problem.
Well, yeah. We should start a new podcast called Grumpy and Knackered.
Grumpy and Knackered.
Where we just sit here and complain about the state of everything.
Pretty sure we do that quite a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we do already, I think.
Do you know what you want? Because you could start talking about the mechanic if you know what you want.
Yeah, I do know what I want, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You do that while
I'm going to probably try their black and white shake, maybe.
I might get a waffle.
Nah, maybe I'll just stick with water. I don't fancy a shake. I don't fancy all the dairy. Okay, hello.
You went straight from Jewish grandmother to like Radio 2 DJ. I don't fancy all the dairy. Welcome, hi!
Well, can you stop with the ring binder?
Sorry.
Just stop.
Okay.
It's going to be unbearable to listen to. Not that you're not already. Hi, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I am always excellent.
I'm not sure I know what I want yet.
All right. I'll give you another minute.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you very much.
you. I just lied. I'm never excellent. I'm often moderate.
That's a bit generous.
Bit generous. So anyway, welcome to the After Movie Diner. And on this episode... you just had to interrupt me, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
And on this episode, we're going to be talking about the Jason Statham franchise. I don't know if you can call it franchise. If there's only vehicles. Well, there's only two of them.
Caravan?
Okay, the Jason Statham caravan. By which we mean the sort of slightly twatty ones you take on holiday if you live in Scunthorpe.
No, you know when things go behind, when they go...
No, you're talking about it like a caravan, like a convoy.
Yeah. Convoy. Like the Jason Statham convoy?
Is it a Jason Statham convoy?
Of two?
No. Caravan's better.
Duo?
Meaning one is being dragged behind the other one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was right. Imagine if you were doing a tour of the northeast of England, possibly one of the most depressing things anyone could do. No, it is. It really is. If you were like Scunthorpe and Skegness and, you know, all those kind of places. Right. Anywhere, really. Sutton-on-Sea, all those kind of places are pretty grim.
Right.
If you were doing a tour of those, possibly in a 1987 Volvo, dragging behind you a kind of beige, have seen better days caravan, which in the US they would call either a trailer or a mobile home, maybe, I don't know, but these are kind of small and twatty ones. That doesn't really in any way accurately describe the Mechanic or the Mechanic 2 Resurrection, but I was attempting to do a bit. Anyway...
I think you should qualify everything you try with an apology and an explanation as to what it was supposed to be. At the end you can go, I'm sorry about that. That was supposed to be a podcast. Yeah, that'll be fine.
So yes, The Mechanic, which is a sort of tangentially linked to and a sort of almost remake of a Chuck Bronson, Michael Winner movie from, I think, the 70s.
It was a Winner. I didn't know it was a Winner movie.
It was a Michael Winner film where I said, Chuck Bronson, come here, let's go shoot another movie where you go around and shoot more people.
I can see why they wanted to remake it. I'm assuming it was.
If I could smoke a large cigar while Stephanie Beecher rubbed my knackers. I don't know, was it Stephanie Beecher? I have no idea. Anyways.
I'm sure he said that at least once.
It sounds plausible. So yeah, it was a Michael Winner and Chuck Bronson joint from the 70s, which was remade, I believe, by Jason Statham and Simon West as director, who has collaborated with... It was, definitely?
Yeah, it was West, yeah.
Okay, who has collaborated with Statham on many occasions, most recently with Wild Card, which was his Vegas set one, which interestingly was another remake, a remake of Burt Reynolds is...
Oh yeah, like Some Blake's Made, right?
yeah, forget what it was called. Heat.
Heat, yeah.
Burt Reynolds is Heat. And it used exactly the same...
I think we're all right.
Yeah, you know what you want?
Yeah, you go first.
All right.
We're deciding
So
between
I'm
two
going to
things.
go for the Texas burger.
Well, I did not use accents before. This is the first time around.
Oh yes, we both have accents.
We both have. Sorry about that.
No,
Yeah,
why
no.
are you sorry? It's awesome. I want one.
We live here, but we have accents. That's just
awesome.
how New York works,
Yeah.
right?
Well, no, we were born in Washington, but we just decided, to be more interesting. We had English
No,
accents.
that's not true at all.
Did you
It
hear
is for me.
But I'm having...
Oh,
Sorry?
they're being sarcastic.
We're being like... No,
I thought I heard a Washington accent.
Yeah.
I was actually born in the Bronx.
See, I told you.
But okay.
Plain and you give them your British accent.
Go on,
My
give.
British accent is alright.
I like
That's not
that.
bad.
That's good.
It's not too bad.
They always do
good.
that. They always do the like Cockney East End
It's the
London.
easiest one to the Dick Van Dyke.
I know
Yeah.
you can't say no. You can't say the
Can't
T.
say, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Can't
but
say it,
the
don't say
water,
it, don't
it's
bother
not
saying
Water.
it.
It's
Yes,
water.
water. The water in Mallorca don't taste like water. at all.
Water. That's how you do it.
There you go. That rubbish is a good one.
But yeah, so no, very good. Well done. Anyway, sorry.
It's okay. Did you say Tex-Mex or Texas?
I'm going to go for the Texas burger. Can I get added Swiss on that, please? I'm going to go for the deluxe burger platter. That comes with French fries and onion rings,
It
right?
comes with 2 onion rings and French fries.
That's
yes.
awesome. Can I also get a side of brown gravy, please?
Sure.
So that's the Texas Swiss platter.
Boom.
And brown
Anything
gravy.
to drink? Are you gonna drink the brown gravy?
I'm going to dip my chips.
That's what they do in England.
I'm going to just stick with water, I think.
All right, water. It's fine.
And I'll get Belgian waffle with sausage and a cup of chamomile tea.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks very much. Very kind of you.
much. Well, somebody liked the Washington joke. You didn't like the Washington joke,
I
but
would
they
have
liked the
gone
Washington
for
joke.
the Bronx, or would have gone for something more obviously not.
Well, he liked the Washington joke. They liked the
They
Washington
did.
joke.
I'm sure the listeners.
Everybody liked the Washington joke.
I liked it enough. I just would have picked something other than Washington. It's a bit of a. Because then you're like, well, do you mean DC or do you mean Washington State?
Both, mate.
Both, mate. You were born
I
in
was
both.
born in both.
I was born in Boston City. What were we talking about?
You were explaining
the
the
mechanic.
Yeah.
Right. No, I was talking about Wildcard. So
Oh,
remake
that's
of
right.
Burt Reynolds' Heat.
Yes.
The one thing.
Still so long to go.
Although
you haven't even made it to the mechanic yet.
Oh, I'm going to hit you in a minute. The one thing that was odd about Wildcard, or the one thing that I wish they'd done differently, is that it's exactly the same script. So it's one of those weird remakes where, although I think it's quite a good film, and obviously the fight scenes are their own, because they're Statham devised, or devised with Statham in mind, the actual script is identical to the earlier Burt Reynolds one, and that kind of bothers me.
It lacked a little bit of zip.
Well,
Boom.
it seemed like an odd thing. First of all, it's already been made twice, so this is the third time
Was it
round.
like a William Golding script?
A William Goldman.
Goldman.
Yeah. And it's exactly the same script has been made 3 separate occasions, which seems sort of random. It also
I
seems
can only
odd.
assume it reads as a really great script, but doesn't film terribly well.
Or that Statham had some 3-picture deal with some releasing house, and they went, and Statham went, oh, we'll just do
No,
this.
no. I think he wanted to make, because I read up about it afterwards, he'd wanted to make it for a long time. And he'd had like some good directors attached to it initially. I think sometimes there's scripts and films out there that people see and they go, this is a really great film, they just didn't do a very good job of it.
See, now, I think it's the other way around. I think they do a very good job of Wildcard. I think it's filmed well. I think Statham plays
No,
the
I don't
part
mean that. I
very
mean
well.
like that's why they decided to do it in the first place. But actually, as you pointed out, there's something about it that's not quite, it's just not quite
The only
there.
thing that bothers me is that the script is exactly the same.
It's
I
not
actually,
that great a movie though.
I quite like it, you see. I like the way
No,
it's
it was
filmed.
alright. It was
I like that
alright.
it's in Vegas. I like that they give it that retro tinge. I think that West
There's a
does a
lot
good
about it
job
to
with
like,
the
and
action.
they've got lots of good people in it. I just felt like it lacked something.
So, The Mechanic 1, which is also a West joint, and I think he's also worked with West on Expendables 2. Simon West also did that. But Simon West has been around for ages. Didn't he do Con Air?
I think Gatsby
Did Con Air, and he's done a whole bunch of Nick Cage stuff, and he's a fairly jobbing kind of action, thriller
chat.
type
Our
chap.
kind of chat.
Yeah. So he does The Mechanic
Thank you
1.
very much.
Thank you. Which is it's a good film. I mean, it's certainly in like Statham's top 10 in terms of like
The Mechanic?
yeah,
Okay.
sort of action stuff.
Down the lower half, though.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's in the bottom 5, not the top 5. And we're talking just pure Statham, not Statham in a franchise. So you have to remove Expendables and
Which I wouldn't have in there anyway, but yes.
all that. Anyway, so the first Mechanic, again, based on the remake, it's based on the original movie, so it's a remake, has a fairly good, structured, interesting plot for a action drama. It's a fairly obvious one, but it's a well done one.
Yes.
So you have your man Stath. He is a killer for hire. His speciality is sort of making it look like an accident, or at least getting out clean, as it were. And at the beginning of the movie, his handler, mentor, and all-round pal, Donald Sutherland, because I don't even remember his name, who has an estranged son who he's not very close to and is basically a bit of a layabout drug addict, alcoholic madman, sort of looks at Statham as a surrogate son. So Statham gets the alert through his like underground Craigslist of who to kill next, to kill Sutherland basically, and he checks it out with like the head boss, who's played by your man from Scandal, Goldwyn.
Tony Goldwyn? Tony Goldwyn, the guy from Cuffs.
Yeah.
I think it's Tony Goldwyn.
Your man at the top, he goes, no, this is right. There was some dodgy thing where some men got killed because he was doing some dodgy deal. So yeah, he needs to be wiped out and blah, 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 blah. So Statham begrudgingly does it because rather him than someone else, I think, is kind of how he feels about it. It's also how Donald Sutherland feels about it. Rather you than someone else. I understand that they're coming for me no matter what.
Oh, so Sutherland tacitly agrees to it?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that part.
Well, no, he does this really cool thing where he says that they're coming. He calls Sutherland up and says, they're coming for you, get out of your office, destroy all the evidence, blah, 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 blah. And he sends Sutherland down a back way to come to his parked car, only to find Statham in the car park. So Statham's acting like he's helping Sutherland, when actually he's setting Sutherland up. And then when Sutherland realizes, he's like, well, I would rather it be you than anyone else. At least can you make it look like I've got a couple of shots off? So he uses Sutherland's gun to get a couple of shots off into like the engine block of his car or whatever, and then Statham kills him. So it looks like he didn't go down like a pussy, essentially, I guess.
But presumably that comes back as an important plot point?
No. What comes back is that it wasn't Sutherland at all. It was...
No, but I mean that the use of the gun. Does the gun become important?
Oh, yeah, at the very end. Well, basically, throughout the movie is Statham training Sutherland's wayward son, who he comes across.
Played by another?
No, played by Ben Foster.
Who is?
Exactly.
Another, okay.
Oh, you know your man, Aaron, what's his name, from Breaking Bad?
Yes.
He's sort of a bit like him. Meaning if you had a shaved-headed, goatee-bearded, not quite as talented Aaron Paul. Is it Aaron Paul?
Yeah.
That's Ben Foster.
So like a poor man's Aaron Paul.
Yeah. And it's one of those movies where all the rules that had kept the mechanic safe and off the radar of people, he breaks in training Ben Foster to be an assassin.
So in order to train him how to be him, he breaks all the rules.
Well, because Ben Foster keeps getting drunk and fucking up, and then he like tells Ben Foster who he is, and like he breaks all the rules,
Okay,
basically.
right.
There's a whole bunch of stuff there, whatever. And also like the kills that he's given to do, that he takes Ben Foster on, like fuck up in various ways, and that normally leads to the action sequence of them like escaping a kill and or doing a kill in a different way or whatever it is.
Improvising.
And then big twist at the end is it wasn't him, it was someone else, and Foster finds out that he killed his dad, and so there's a little back and forth between him and Foster, and then there's an ultimate twist at the very end, which I suppose I can reveal because there's a sequel, which is in the race to kill each other, Ben Foster and Jason Statham wins and walks away, presumed dead because his car blows up, but when they check the CCTV footage at the gas station, they see a very quick thing of him rolling out of the car just before it blows up. So he survives and gets away. And it's a well-made, like the thing about the mechanic is, the original, or rather the remake, but what I mean, for the purposes of the Statham conversation, the first one.
Right.
The thing about it is...
the Statham Caravan. The
first caravan. Well, no.
The truck that's towing the caravan.
That's towing
right.
the caravan. The thing about it is, it's well made. Simon West knows what he's doing. It looks good because it's in sort of a New Orleans-y, swampsy, Louisiana-y kind of vibe, and it looks good. Statham plays the role with aplomb. There's plenty of good action in it. Ben Foster isn't too annoying. It's got a few iconic moments in it with them like abseiling down the building and some other stuff. It's not remarkable, but considering it's a remake and considering
it was at that point of Statham's career when he was churning out steady, reliable action films.
It's almost at the beginning of that, and it comes off the heels of The Transporter, and it's almost... I think when I first saw it, my problem with it is why isn't this just a Transporter movie? You know what I mean? Because he's sort of playing the same kind of character. In other words, he has his rules, he's very clean, he has like the latest stuff, but he also has like the precision vinyl player and the sports car that he's been tinkering on for 10 years, and you know, he's meticulous and it's kind of a follow-on from that character, and probably why they said it to him in the first place. But it's fun. It's reasonably well paced. I mean, it's a bit back heavy, which the sequel is, to be fair, as well. The first and second acts take a little while to kind of grind the gears and get going. But like I said, it looks good, and if you enjoy Statham, like, it's not so horrible. And there's enough of that, like Leon, the professional stuff about like training him to be a hitman and that's at least entertaining to watch. It's just not very action heavy. But generally, like I say, it's considered one of the few decent remakes, and it's also considered sort of within Statham's top 10 of like lone man action movies, which you would put in Safe, the Crank films, Transporter films, obviously.
What's the one with
Killer Elite?
The one with the bank job.
The bank job, yeah, but it's not really an action movie. But yeah, it sort of.
The one with De Niro. What's the De Niro?
Killer
one?
Elite.
And what's the one with Franco?
With
Franco. Isn't James Franco the bad
Oh,
one?
Homefront. Right. Homefront is another one. Like Homefront is probably. Yeah, Homefront's not very strong. I'm not a big fan of that one.
So I thought it was all right.
It's all right, but it's like Statham versus Franco. You're like, well, Statham would eat Franco for breakfast and then shit out Winona Ryder.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Why would that?
I don't know.
Thank you very much. That's great.
That looks awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank
you.
you.
Look at that. Tremendous work. No, I'm good with this. This is perfect.
Oh,
Thank
could
you.
I get my chamomile tea?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, that's great.
Do you
Thank
want
you.
it with honey or lemon?
No, just on its own. It's fine. Thank you. I feel sort of bad actually. The putting the butter on the lovely sugared waffle.
That's what you meant to do, Chief.
I know. But, you know.
But it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I agree. I would go along with that. My memory. It's been a while since It's been a while since I saw it, but my memory of it was after I saw The Transporter, I thought, fine, I could easily watch Jason Statham movies and enjoy them because they're really fun and they're well put together and they're nice, and you know, there's not a lot of, not terribly taxing, but they're usually quite fun. They've got a sense of fun about not just the character, but also the action. Like, he's obviously a very, serious guy, but you can tell, like, as an actor, as the guy that's doing the film, he doesn't take himself or it terrifically seriously. He's not pompous.
Right.
And I think that the action and the films themselves reflect that. They're very straight ahead, workmanlike, getting the job done. It's good.
I think that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think that Statham in reality, from what I've gleaned, just from interviews and stuff, is, he's a little bit old-fashioned. His favourite, him playing a Chuck Bronson role was probably like awesome for him. He's probably a big Bronson fan. In fact, I think I've heard from him somewhere that he is. Like, he likes the old school hard guys. Mm-hmm. He's definitely got a sense of humour. You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely got that East End British sense of humour.
There's quite a lot of times in the movies where he's got a little twinkle in his eye.
Yeah, twinkle in his eye, self-depreciating, definitely got that in spades. Probably a bit laddish as well. Mm-hmm. But I also think, just from sort of some of the later interviews, once he sort of became a producer and set up his own company and things, Parker, that was one of the other ones he did where he was a solo guy. I think that he wants to do, like, the reason why I'll give him a chance after chance after chance is he wants to do good work. Like, he wants to work with good people and he wants to do good things. And even if the end result is what the end result is, and I always love something about the end result. Like, I'm just a big Statham fan.
Yeah. But he's not caging it in.
Right.
He hasn't caged in his cards.
No. So, but no matter what the end result is, there is a nugget in there. Whether it's, wait a minute, I get to do a movie set in the early '80s with Robert De Niro and Clive Owen, based on like this awesome Spycatcher style book, or whether it's, I get to do a William Goldman script, or, I get to play a Chuck Bronson role. Like, there's always a nugget of it where you're like, I understand why he did this.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll always give him the time of day, is what I'm saying.
Well, my memory of the first one was, I really enjoyed it. I felt it fit neatly into my idea of what a Statham movie was without letting me down or being too dull. I remember being distinctly underwhelmed by the ending. I remember that.
Right.
I remember feeling that the moral ambiguity present in what he did, and especially the note that he left for the kid at the end, wasn't really borne out by the sense of fun and adventure in the movie, and it seemed like it belonged to a different movie. Mm-hmm. And that kind of jarred with me a bit, and that's why I wouldn't put it in the top 5.
Right.
Just for that, basically for that reason alone, just because I felt like it didn't. I don't know, it just didn't hang together as well as it might have done. But that would be my only complaint about it.
So, I don't think I ever expected a sequel.
No.
Not that there wasn't franchise potential, but for my money, you would need a sequel that was... Like, the thing I like about The Mechanic is the plot. Like, it has one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it bothers to have a twist, and it bothers to have...
That's why the ending annoyed
characters,
me.
And it bothers to have ambiguity.
If it had been nonsense, but fun nonsense, I wouldn't have given a monkeys about the ending. But you're right, it was nicely put together. And the ending, him writing that and saying that and doing that, didn't seem to fit with his character very well,
Except that he's always prepared.
Yes, but I mean, to write that to somebody that he's about to bump off.
Right.
Kind of, ha ha ha. It was too smart-assed and smug, and it just wasn't him.
I know what you mean. It would have been better had it just said sorry, or had it said boom, or had it said...
Yeah, exactly. Just something that was a bit like, yes, I'm prepared. I'm Statham, you were never going to win.
Right.
But not it was arsey.
Right.
I didn't like it.
So anyway, I mean, that rubbed you up the wrong way, but
yes.
I mean, I can't say I fixate on stuff like that you do quite in the same way. But I do understand from your perspective that.
No, I just mean, if it had been a half the movie, we wouldn't have given the monkeys, but it's the ending of the whole movie. It just left me with a bit of a meh about the whole thing.
Okay,
That's wrong.
but
the
my
experience of
feeling
watching
was-
the movie was I enjoyed it.
my feeling was, my trepidation, let's say, about going into The Mechanic 2, Resurrection, is perfectly viable to do a sequel because you've got the twist ending at the end of the first one. He's out into the world. We've already set up who he is and what he's capable of. And let's bring him back in. The basic plot of the second one is fine in terms of
The structure of it.
the structure of it. In terms of a almost Snake Plissken-like,
Yeah.
we're going to give you a time, we're going to hold something over you. In the case of Snake Plissken, it's always like your health.
And give you like 3 impossible things to do before breakfast kind of thing.
Right. That's kind of a good way to
Yes.
bring it back in.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
And actually, if you go in and only care about that, the film works. To some extent. It could have worked a lot better. But Mechanic Resurrection is interesting in the sense that all the things that were tight and neat and enjoyable about the first one are not really apparent here.
No.
They are in a structure that probably existed in either the first and or second script, but the film very much feels like one thing was filmed. It's sad because I think it was filmed like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
So not only
you know
was
what
it,
I wondered, what I couldn't figure out all the way through the movie, and it changed halfway through as if they realised it, is why they were using old cell phones. All the way through, like Statham was like, "Look at me, state-of-the-art equipment."
Right.
He's taking his photos with his old fucking Nokia. What the fuck is this? And then halfway through, the smartphones turn up. But it was very weird.
I think it's been made over a period of years. I wouldn't be surprised also because of the very noticeable green screen in an early action sequence where he's meant to be sitting atop a restaurant in Brazil when actually around his head is like really like fuzzy and the background's sort of out of focus because it's this sort of weird green screen from like 3 years ago. It's sort of odd.
Yeah.
So it feels okay. So the big problem with the movie is that it feels like it was made over a period of years and or reshoots and or whatever. It feels like a movie that has been made in the edit room. In other words, there wasn't a strong preparation and or script and or whatever going into it. I noticed just from a production standpoint, there's a lot of ADR, there's a lot of like lines that have been dropped in where you either see the back of his head or you don't see the lips moving or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There was a lot of green screen, which means because the movie has this kind of globe-trotting thing about it, but it was probably, I know it was definitely filmed in Thailand, so it was probably filmed in Thailand and Bulgaria, and that was it, and all the other places are just kind of green screened in.
It felt like they were in Brazil because there was a lot of.
I think they either took some pre-shot footage and or went down and shot footage, but I don't think Statham ever set foot there.
No, maybe you're right. Yeah.
So anyway, it's a hodgepodge, but I think you'll be surprised by the end of the show what I actually felt about it. So why don't you try and encapsulate the plot if you can, because it's a bit incongruous
Well,
and all over the place.
okay. So without revealing how I felt about it, the plot is pretty simple, which is
It's all complicated and weird and
No,
different motives and holes all over the place.
It's pretty simple, I think, ultimately. Man who Statham betrayed in his past decides to use Statham's skills as an assassin for his own ends, but because Statham would never work for him, he decides to use a honey trap basically on Statham, get him to fall in love with a woman, kidnap that woman, then use, Statham's sense of fair play, honour, whatever, love.
But it's
to
not
get
just
him
that.
to achieve.
It's that she does a job and works for a camp that.
No, but I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
I'm the one telling the plot. Yeah, so figure from Statham's past uses the honey trap on Statham to get him to commit crimes for his own ends, which involves basically bumping off 3 blokes in a relatively short period of time, or else the bird gets it. And Statham has to, over the course of the movie, bump off these 3 blokes, while at the same time getting himself in a position to rescue the girl and take down the bloke.
Yes,
That's my plot summary.
essentially.
Yeah.
They over-egg it with a whole bunch of either extraneous details and or confusing details.
Yes. Can I ask you a question? Because there's one question. As soon as it happened in the movie, right, I wanted to ask you this question. What the fuck is a East End gang trained child soldier? What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
What is that?
Don't know.
The whole film
Right.
rests
Yeah.
on this relationship between
Yeah.
Statham and the bad guy
Right.
that was forged when they were kidnapped by an East End gang to be
Yeah.
trained as child soldiers.
Yeah.
Which, as far as I'm aware, has never happened,
No.
even in Victorian London. Like, that's never
Right.
happened.
Right.
Unless they're talking about the East End of Sierra Leone, I don't
Right.
see what the fuck it's got to do. It was so mad.
Well, it was all mad. I mean, it was all mad.
Mad. It was mad from start to finish.
Like, I can't even begin to kind of delve into it because we would spend so long talking about all that stuff, and ultimately it isn't really important.
Well, it's important in the sense that, okay, and I know where we're going to disagree on this, basically.
But I mean, like Jessica Alba, who is the honey trap woman, right?
Right.
It's all really confusing because
Yeah, they're putting like
the guy shows up, like all the setup is confusing in the sense of, well, wait a minute, hang on. Jessica Alba is sent there by this guy because previous attempt to get Statham in Brazil failed, and so she is sent to Thailand or wherever he's gone off to an island run by Michelle Yeoh, who is like woefully underused,
yeah,
shockingly underused.
Yeah.
Who is sort of the, without ever getting killed, she's sort of the Donald Sutherland character, meaning she's the mentor, whatever, or the
old friend.
the old friend, voice of wisdom in a chaotic world,
Right.
Voice of reason, rather. So the whole idea to ensnare Statham is that Alba is going to rock up, walk around being all Alba. Meanwhile, the guy that she's with, the boyfriend that she's with, is meant to like scream and shout at her, which I presume is meant to appeal to Statham's code of honor.
Well, she's supposed to. That's the point. He's supposed to beat her up.
Right.
When she walks in there with the bruised arm or whatever, like
Right.
Statham's being set up. But then, oh no, he was getting into. It's so. The confusion lies in the fact that the idea is she's supposed to be a honey trap, and it's all supposed to be fake. But the guy that's supposed to be pretending to beat her up decides to actually beat her up, and she really is actually innocent. So all the things that the honey trap is pretending to be actually come to pass. So when Statham does fall for it and take her into his bed, and all the rest of it,
No, but you see, this is the other thing, right?
it's all true.
No,
But then it's like, well, then can I just-
okay, but this is the other thing, is that I don't think, like, it makes more sense, because Jessica Alba works for, like, a home for,
Yeah, why her?
no, well, right, exactly, why her, right? That's the other thing. She goes, oh, he's got something on me,
Yeah.
and then she's like, well, what he has on me is that I work for a home for orphan, sex trafficked kids, and I get them help, and you know, it's in Cambodia and blah, 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 blah. And if I don't do this, he's going to kill me and all the children. And I'm like, oh, okay.
But that's not something. You can do that with literally anybody. You can walk
Right.
up to literally anybody and go, if you don't do this, I'm going to shoot your grandmother in the face.
Right.
You'd probably do it.
Right. So that doesn't make any sense. Secondly, the movie, maybe because in the original cut, they fall in love too quickly and everyone was like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. That they gave her the children's school in Cambodia to give him like more of a reason, meaning, you know, he doesn't want to see, like, if you don't do this, Statham, all the children die. Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt actually that I didn't.
Oh, I see. You mean like what was supposed to happen is she was supposed to be like a honey trap, but she wasn't all that honourable. And actually, Statham ends up falling for her, even though she's not all that honourable, just because of, you know, chemistry and maybe she's got a war story or something.
No, but I believe
That all that bollocks had nothing to do with it.
I believe that his character would do what he did to save a school full of children, much more than I would believe he did that because he happened to fall in love with Alba.
Yeah, true. Okay, I got it. Especially since he himself is the victim of being an East End gang child soldier.
Right.
That might have been thrown in there for that bollocks as well. Because I mean, it was
That's
like,
what I mean. Everything was like,
I know why you're doing this. You did it because I got out. Come. Of what?
Right.
Of where?
right. But that's the whole point, is I think that it was all nipped, tucked, voice-overed, reshot. Like, I really do.
Like a bunch of 3 a.m. decisions by knackered writers.
Yeah. I
Okay,
honestly
I can believe
do.
that. I can believe that. Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't think you can
With
hold...
Statham going, what about kids? What about if I'm protecting a load of kids?
Right.
Kids are good, right?
Now,
All right, Jace.
obviously he has to keep Jessica Alba alive because without her there is no school in Cambodia, apparently. Let's just go with that. Right? But the bit that doesn't make any sense is he apparently gives her his father's watch, which he's never taken off.
Yeah.
Right? And that's meant to symbolise like how much he feels about her.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. But at no point, even with all the drippy walking along the beach scenes and
Can I just say, there was so much drippy walking along the beach.
Yeah.
I know there was like the green screen stuff at the beginning, but the bit at
Right.
the beginning in the cafe where he kicked the shit out of about 20
Was
people
fun.
in a tourist trap was really fun. There was some inventive bits in there.
Yeah.
There was barbecue. There was, you know, jumping off things.
that was a reshoot. I'm telling you, that was a reshoot.
yeah, but jumping onto
to
the
punch up the beginning of the movie.
the jumping onto the windsurfer.
Right.
But that
Totally
was,
ludicrous,
I
but
loved
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
It was like, this is like watching a Roger Moore movie. I
Yeah.
loved it. But then after that, it was like, oh my god,
20
is he
minutes.
still walking along the beach with her?
Well, because I tell you, dude, they watch the movie and they go, no one's going to believe that he did this for her. So they threw everything at it. They went, extend the beach sequences, make her have kids. Like, they extended it all just to give it some sort of... Because no one sat down to begin with and wrote anything that made any sense.
Yeah, that was okay. So
The core idea of...
yeah, the idea
Guy
is
from
good.
past finangles him to redo 3 things, and instead, on the third one, he turns the tables on him. Perfectly serviceable sequel
Yes,
plot.
particularly as all of them. The whole point of it is they're all supposed to be impossible missions. In other words,
Right.
well, you're supposed to be good, so let's see how good you are. Not just once, but like 3 times.
Right, and not
3
only-
Mission Impossible.
Not only that,
But none of them
not only
even
that-
come close to being even a bit impossible.
not only that, but the bad guy. Well, because they front end the movie so much that like what normally, especially the first one where he has to like break into
God,
prison
that's
and
so
then
lame.
break out of
That
the
is the
prison.
lamest, lame mission ever. He walks in there, right?
Well, hang
and
on a
he's got-
second. Let's back up before we explain. it.
I was so annoyed by that first one.
Hang on a second. They so front end the movie
I see what you're saying, actually. Yeah.
with like beach sequences and explanations.
They've got no time.
And they've got no time for that one.
Yeah.
Like you could have made a 20-minute sequence out of that one, but and
They
sort
decided to
of
cut their
dragged
losses because they
out.
thought this is the least impressive one. Let's
Right.
cut it back. Right,
Now-
yeah.
The funny thing about the movie is that halfway through, probably about 2/3 of the way through, it basically cuts its losses and becomes an old PM Entertainment movie, meaning cut the dialogue, ratchet up the action, put in as many crazy stunts as possible, shoot everybody, explosions, one-liners, end movie. And like the second half of the movie is tons of fun, but like for me anyway. But the first half of the movie where they were trying to establish everything, I'm like, listen guys, you're getting really, really bogged down with this whole he needs motivation thing, right? Simple. Damsel in distress, guy from his past, put him on the mission, get like the first 3 minutes of the movie, boom, 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 next. Like,
do you think they're like all those like cheesy shortcuts that you have in Hollywood movies, like, oh, he's got a dead kid, or
right.
you know, his wife was blown up by a Lithuanian nun, or whatever, is a way of just getting to that point all fast. Because so my question is, do you think that the problem is because of the first movie,
right,
where he doesn't look like he would do anything for anybody unless there was like a paycheck, unless it served his interests,
right,
that has to be turned around? But he's not a well-known enough character,
right,
that you can have a shortcut to turning his character around. That you can turn Bond's character on a dime, like maybe, or Bourne or whatever. Like established characters is easy to go, you know, we're going to flip them. We're going to do something. They're going to do something totally different now because they're so established. It only takes a small thing to blow them up.
I think both the first movie and the second movie, what they have in common is the idea that you can be as prepared as you like, you can be as secretive as you like, you can do all this stuff. But ultimately, if something gnaws away at your conscience, whether it's the idea of Alba and her kids being killed, or whether it's Ben Foster blaming him for the death of his dad that turns out to be incorrect or whatever, that will get the better of all your wise preparation and, you know, Buddhist vinyl wiping and all the rest of it. Like, both movies have that in common. He reluctantly has to do a bunch of stuff. Yes, that's great.
I feel like if Jessica Alba had been like the daughter of somebody that Statham had bumped off, that Blokey had used to, you know, trap Statham, and then she ends up falling for him, and he ends up falling for her, and he ends up having to, like, wanting to prove to her that he's not such a bad guy, and that actually he feels responsible for that death, because it turns out that, you know, just like in the first one, he was double-crossed and blah,
right,
blah, blah. That would have been a shortcut, and that would have worked fine.
Right. And the other thing that's hilarious is that, but also works towards the end movie, because the other thing is the bad guy in this movie, essentially, like, halfway through, it's suddenly revealed that it doesn't actually matter about any of this stuff, because all he's trying to do is wipe out his competition as an arms runner, right? So it's like, it just throws way too much pudding at the wall. Like, just don't bother. Like the thing that PM Entertainment movies always did so well, and the reason why I bring this up is, for all, I would suggest people go see this movie, but only if you are the kind of action fan where you're like, I want to see Statham do either a low-rent Canon film or a very good PM Entertainment movie, meaning there's going to be a load of bollocks at the beginning nobody's going to care about. And just know that if you sit through the bollocks, you'll be paid off with some good wham-bammery.
See, that's my dilemma with like recommending the movie. On the one hand,
the second half is fun. You've got to admit it.
What I'm saying, on the one hand, like, it's a Jason Statham movie in the cinema, and I want there to be more of that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to, like, just from what we keep saying, there's not enough mad, you know, fun B movies in the cinema. So I want that, and the only way to make that happen is for people to go and see it at the cinema. But I feel like the only way to really see this movie is, as you say, like on Netflix or on DVD or whatever, and fast forward it, you know. Or, well, not necessarily fast forward it, but just, like, you know, do the washing up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a... I tell you what it was. It was a movie where it was more than any other movie I've actually ever seen. It was a movie where I wish I'd been in the writer's room. Where I wish I'd just been in the writer's room and gone, lads, seriously, you're all running around in circles. Go outside, have a smoke, take a breath, have some coffee, whatever it is. And when you've come back, I would have torn 10 pages out of this and made it fine.
But I think you're right. I think a lot of it was around the fly. And I wonder, if you look at what Statham's been doing, right? Like you said, he's been trying to do, like, interesting projects. What he's been trying to do is, if it's going to be my film,
right,
I'm going to do something a little bit interesting.
Oh, by the way, he's also done no press for this film.
Yeah, see,
which is very
this is what
telling.
This is what I think. I think he's been working with either actors that he wants to work with, or directors that he wants to work with, or projects that he's interested in, things that have his limited but still hefty-ish weight behind them, to enough to be able to get them these little like $7, $8, $9 million pictures made, right? And then
he's also doing a
outside of that
TV series out of the follow-up to Layer Cake, which is from his production company.
So that's fine.
He's working very hard on that at the moment.
Sure, but what he's doing is he's doing personal projects that interest me, and then I'm going to turn up in a Spy or a Fast and Furious or an Expendables or whatever, where I'm B name on the marquee, but it's a nice hefty paycheck, and I'm keeping my name presence visible.
Right. This
seemed to me to be, someone said to him, listen Jace, it's been too long since you've had a hit, mate, and even like a Netflix hit, because I Wildcard I don't think did very well.
Wildcard did nothing. Yeah.
The Franco one did nothing. The Hummingbird one, no, because it was in the cinema and it died a death in the cinema. I remember it didn't do very well. And the Hummingbird one again didn't do very well, because again, that one didn't do well, but that's fine, that's a whole other thing.
I like that one.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there was a lot about it that I didn't like, but there was a lot about it that I liked a lot. But there was lots of inexplicable choices in it that I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. But anyway, I think they said to him, you need to get back to doing those films. You need money, or you need this, or you need that. But you need to get back to doing those films. Let's do a sequel to The Mechanic or something. And that's why there's no script, and that's why there's not a lot of care. And they tried to do like a film like Statham films used to be, you get some big name actor in to play, Lee Jones, I don't know what the fuck he's doing in it, and what he's playing, or what he's wearing, or what he looks like. He's appalling.
Tommy Lee Jones.
He's only in it for like 5 minutes. But I don't think Statham's all that engaged, and I feel like if he'd been more engaged in it, if he'd cared about it, I don't think it would have been such a mess, and I don't think it would have gone into production, because I think you're right. I think the whole thing started without a proper script. Because
I think it went into production, and I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure it went into production like prior to the whole Fast and Furious reveal thing. I've got a feeling it was in production like before Fast and Furious 7, and I think that what happened was that.
You really sound like you're from South Carolina.
Thank you. Yeah,
he looks like it.
Yeah,
you definitely look like it.
Thank you. I think that probably it was going to be the next movie he did after Wildcard. It was just going to be another I guess I'm just going to keep knocking about in these straight to 1 week in the cinema and then straight to VOD or whatever. And I think that Fast and Furious came along, and then Spy came along, and I think that both of those were very successful, and certainly he was so successful in Spy that they're already talking of doing a spin-off with him and his character. And then you've got Fast 8, then he's got his TV thing, and I think this was either something that was filmed and shelved, and then maybe they did a few reshoots on it just to kind of punch it up, or something that he's kind of been doing in between all this other stuff, and therefore doesn't really want to be doing it anymore, because he's like, wait a minute, I have this franchise, and I have this franchise, and I have this possibility, and da-da-da-da, you know what I mean?
Or it could be, like you say, it could be that in between,
because it's certainly the cheapest looking of all the movies he's done.
What might have started off as a natural end of a downward curve in terms of, if your last movie is not successful, the next movie you make is going to cost a little less money, and so on and so on. And then, like you say, they're looking at it and they've got this movie and it's half done, and all of a sudden Fast and Furious and Spy, and they think, hey, maybe there's a gap in the calendar for this. End of the summer, Star Wars is done, Star Trek is done, whatever. The Marvel, there's a gap there. Statham's big. Why don't we throw an extra 10 million at it with some reshoots, punch it up, make it a big action movie of the summer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So much.
And that's why it's such a god awful mess.
But
it is a god awful mess.
Yeah, it is.
I agree with you.
But it's the most out of the last. Trying to think. If you go back, you really have to go back to either Safe or Killer Elite, which I say go back, but I mean that's still some years ago now. You have to go back to that for the level of fun action that there is in The Mechanic 2.
Yeah, okay. I mean, certainly I think he made a conscious effort to turn away from it a little bit and do more interesting things. But that's why I think he's not interested in it anymore.
Like the action...
I don't think he wants to make these films anymore.
The action in the opening sequence, and then the action in the last third...
Yeah.
Is some of the most enjoyable Statham action stuff we've had in a long time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, my problem actually with that...
And it's tons of fun. Like, that's what I like. And that's why I compare it to a PM Entertainment movie. You don't watch a PM Entertainment movie for the plot or who the bad guy is or whatever. Let me tell you, PM Entertainment movie made an enjoyable action movie with, as the lead, C. Thomas Howell, right? Who is not in any way at all an action guy. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he has a sort of humorous mustache. That's about all you can say about C. Thomas Howell. Right? Yet they're able to do it because at the end of the day, what PM Entertainment do is they go, right, film 3 or 4 scenes with C. Thomas Howell wandering about, and then we'll get in all our stunt guys to blow this up and shoot that gun and throw barrels of lit oil onto cars repeatedly or whatever it is, and away we go. And occasionally, like PM Entertainment had Don the Dragon Wilson or Cynthia Rothrock or someone like that in it who could do their own stuff, Gary Daniels, but like most of the time they were just making these action movies because, like we always say with the A-Team, you get enough rent-a-goons and you go down to the local junk tip and you go, how many like shitty Corvettes can you give me, or how many shitty Ford cars you can give me, and we'll just throw fire at them and that'll be the movie. So they become enjoyable because of the action, and everybody really the plot. So the thing with this was, the reason why it frustrated me so much that they kept like ladling on this unnecessary plot was, I was like, it's a PM Entertainment movie, guys. This is a sequel to a movie that shouldn't have really been a movie in the first place, but it was a movie and it was moderately successful, so let's just do a sequel that's bigger, badder and more ridiculous. And that's essentially, in the action sequences, what they did.
But I wonder, especially with these, everybody wants a franchise, right? Everybody wants a freaking franchise.
Well, no, because he was given the opportunity to do the next 3 Transporter films, and he said no. They were going to do, Luke Besson was going to do Transporter 4, 5 and 6, and he said no. They keep talking about doing Crank 3, and although he has shown interest, he hasn't done it, and it's not on his slate to do it. I really honestly think that this was coming at a point where he'd done Hummingbird, he'd done Wildcard, he'd done a couple of, let's say, vanity projects, in other words, and Homefront, which was a Sylvester Stallone script. They hadn't been, none of them had set anyone on fire. So someone said, like, let's do a sequel to The Mechanic, and initially it came up as like, well, that's a good idea because we can get back to the stuff that people seem to like me doing. Plus, it's a name and, it's a movie and blah, 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 blah. And then all this other stuff happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm saying...
Because I've heard about Mechanic Resurrection for at least 3 years. At least. Which means that Fast 7, Spy, all that comes out in the interim since we first heard about the project.
Yeah, certainly he's undergone a bit of a renaissance since that kind of downward trajectory. But I'm wondering whether it was he was never then interested in it in the first place, and did it maybe because sometimes people people do movies for the promise of other movies.
Right,
like, that happens a lot.
I mean, it is set up for a third one. Weirdly,
is it?
Yeah, the end of it is set up definitely for a third one. But I don't think he'll do it unless he again falls on.
Like I don't. I think you're wrong, and I don't see it.
And it's produced by the guys, Avi Lerner and Boaz Davidson and people like that, over at Millennium. I think their production company is called. Who did like the Expendables and various other things, and like. Maybe when he couldn't get hired, they came to him and went, let's do this. And he was like, okay. And because they're all pals, probably, or they certainly gave him a leg up with action movies after he was in Expendables 1. They, like, fed him a bunch of action movies. So maybe he just did it for them.
Well, whatever his reasons. And I think you're probably... I certainly think you're right that the reason it doesn't work is they tried to turn something clearly that they didn't think worked into something that they hoped might, and in the process,
I have to say, because a lot of this is conjecture, but like I have to say, it does, for all its faults, and it does have faults, and it is messy, and there is dialogue dropped in here and green screen bits there, and Alba, and a whole bunch of problems with the film. I had a hoot watching it.
Yeah, see, I had the opposite experience.
I had an absolute hoot
the
watching
opposite
it.
experience.
I loved it.
I the longer it went on,
like I loved the
less
fact that
hoots I was having.
it started off and he's on like some wood panelled boat wearing a sweater and polishing
but that
his
was
vinyl.
see, but right there, like there was right from the beginning, there were things about it that bugged me. And the first thing that bugged me was why have we got 3 completely different songs played at full volume back to back? Like 45 seconds of each. Just pick a song, lads. Right? It's the opening of your movie.
There's only 2 songs.
No, there were 3. There was like whatever the big like opening of the movie thing was, and then he puts the record on, and another song plays, and then that turns into like Brazilian jazz. Like, but no, for no later. 1 minute it's like rock and roll, Jason on a boat. He's on the boat now, and then he's like walking the streets. Like it's Brazilian music. No, come on, lads, pick and open it.
Right.
Either go with the rock and roll like mechanic like boat thing, and now he's like, whatever, that's fine. That annoyed me. But the bit in the on top of the cabin where he beats the crap out of loads of people, that was super cool, and I liked the jumping onto the windsurfer.
Yeah, what are they called? I don't know what they're called.
Windsurfer. Fucking hell, my brain.
Yeah, what are they called? It's what he goes in Live and Let Die.
Yeah, I know. It's not windsurfing. It should be windsurfing, but it's not windsurfing. Oh yeah, sorry.
We're going to split it between the two of us, if that's cool. Yeah, what's it called? Don't know, anyway.
Anyway, whatever the fuck it is, I really, really, really liked that bit, and I was all on board. I mean, it made me laugh, and I was having a great time, and I loved the idea of you've got 3, like all that bollocks, but then the ground to halt with the Orba thing. Like, for fuck's sake, get on with it. And it was, and it wasn't like I got impatient.
See, I kind of knew that was coming, so I went with it. Like,
no, it's not that I didn't know it was coming. It kept going, and it wouldn't stop, and I got bored. Bored, and I'm sitting there,
I didn't,
and I'm bored. So I'm bored. And then, like,
were you
okay,
bored?
fine. Yeah, I was that bit. I was bored.
Say bored again.
Bored. Anyway,
right.
Then there's like, oh, you've got to achieve. Great, 3 missions, brilliant. And then there's a bit where he's planning. It's like the prison. Nobody's ever gotten in. Nobody's ever gotten out. And it's surrounded by sharks. And he's like an African warlord. You go, brilliant. This is completely amazing. He's gonna have to not only like do the most impossible, like prison break in, prison break out, impossible murder, make it look like an accident. All the while it's a horrible prison in the Far East. And then once you've done that, you've got to do 2 more jobs, equally impossible. Okay, this is great. I don't mind sitting for the Alba thing. We're going to go here. And then it was the lamest mission in the history of missions. It was so terrible.
I quite liked how he wiped himself down with shark repellent. Apparently you can buy like Shark Be Gone. Like, wasn't it literally called like Shark Be Gone or something like that?
What was worse than that was like, listen, you'll never get out because nobody's ever got off that island because of the sharks. And you go, well, so nobody thought to buy a tin of shark repellent. And his whole plan revolved around, he's just going to smuggle in things in cigarettes and a lighter. I don't think they let you smuggle in cigarettes and mystery cream into a Malaysian prison. I don't think that happens. And when the guard was like, take your lighter, you go, well, he'd take the fags too then. Because, like, there smokes and he clearly smokes, so he would just take the cigarettes and there goes Jason's plan. But no, that didn't. Fine, okay, I'll suspend disbelief, no problem. And then he walks in and he's like strolling around, looking around, and they go, oh hello, I've just made best mates who I'm already playing chess with after 5 minutes.
No, I get
Fine,
it.
no problem.
Who's
that? It's the African warlord. Oh right.
Yeah, the old toothy guy who knew absolutely everything about everyone.
There's African warlord. Think about the African warlord. He's actually got a lot of enemies. Over there's a bloke who wants to kill him. Oh, that's interesting. And then Jason turns around, sees a fat bloke being given a knife. So he walks over to the fat bloke, nicks his knife. And then it's a series of like pieces
just
of
50-50, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. A series of blind bits of fortune. Like he's got the plans and he's making the drawings and every single part of the African prison is total jam. All of it.
Yeah, I understand.
It was bollocks, and it wasn't even any good. And it was like, got to make it like an accident. And his accident was he like strangled him. Well, that's not an accident.
No, he'd overdosed on the peyote or whatever it was.
Yeah, except that he left him so that he wouldn't get caught by the guards that were coming in. he left him like propped up with a weird thing. And that's not an accident then. If he's clearly been artificially propped up to look alive,
Right.
So that's that done,
Right.
Because also, why does it need to look like an accident? But that's fine, whatever.
Yeah, everyone's trying to kill him, so why does it have to look like an accident?
Yeah, why did he just
kill him.
let the guy die? Like, he, rather than step in with the knife and the whole thing, go, oh, it's all right, the bloke's about to kill him. I'll just sit here and wait for him to be dead, and then I'll swallow the pill and I can be gone. Because if the bloke goes, oh no, deal's off, it's supposed to be an accident. Oh, fine, okay, yeah, get somebody else. This incredibly intricate plan you put together to
Right.
blackmail me into doing the you're going to throw it away because he didn't die in the right way. Well, how more accidental can you get if he's in a prison and being shivved by a guy who I've got nothing to do with and you've got nothing to do with and completely organically in front of him? Anyway,
Yeah,
that was fine,
in fact,
but it annoyed
had Jason Statham never got into the prison, he would have been stabbed.
If you stood outside,
Not by
smoking
one
his-
person, but by two people. Because there was, apparently also in Malaysian prisons, if you only have one hand, you are allowed to make a massive sword hand.
So
like
that's
a hand
fine. It's
with
to-
a massive
it's
sword
total
under
bollocks,
it.
fine.
It is total
The
bollocks.
second one I liked a little bit more because it was like at least like the way the guy died was kind of interesting. But the way that Statham went about doing it was like so unbelievably half-assed. It's like, oh, I'm going to break into this apartment. Okay, how are you going to do that, Jace? You're going to use your crazy lockpick? Or that would be me?
I don't like you any less. It just didn't go 50-50.
Oh, that's fine. Wait, do I get more then?
Yes.
Oh,
Only 5 cents.
that's okay. I'll get him off him. I'll get it off him.
Yeah, get him.
So I like the second one a bit more because the death was kind of cool. Like the
But
overhanging
equally,
pool
how
and
he
stuff.
got there was.
But like he'd go, oh, I'll take a meeting with the estate agent, and then I'll distract her with a fake phone call, and then take a photograph of the key. That's my big plan. Fucking anyone could do that. It was nonsense. And then he's like, oh, hang underneath the pool. The bloke sees Statham underneath his pool. He has more than, oh, there's a bloke underneath the pool doing something fishy. I'll just get out of the pool. Instead, I'll wait 5 minutes splashing around screaming in a pool that is literally 3 feet away from not being in the pool. And it takes ages for the water to drain out and he's caught in some mad vortex. No, just walk out of the pool. But that was the least annoying of it. And by the time the third one came round, and it was like Tommy Lee Jones, and then it was like, oh, so you're an arms dealer with a conscience. Going, are you serious? Arms dealer with a conscience? And oh no, they're serious. He's an arms dealer with a conscience. Tommy Lee Jones, he's all right.
But again, dude, you are missing the point. Which I can.
No,
look,
because I agree with
every
you.
point, every point you're making with, I completely and
But
utterly agree
here's the
with you.
thing. But I agree with you. But by the time it got to where that point was going to be made,
Yeah.
it had lost me.
Okay.
And I was
And
bored and annoyed with it.
It hadn't lost me.
I'd spent $15 on my day off sitting there watching this. And I don't care how fun the action, because it was fun and I did enjoy it, but it lost me. I didn't care. I was too angry with it. Because it was so easily fixable, all of it. And I so wanted the movie to be good, because I really like Statham. And I really like the idea of Jason Statham action movies being in the cinema. And I thought, I bet this is one of those cool little action films that they've gone, let's give it a cinema release because it's a good one. Like Statham, it's actually a good little action film. It's on the end of the summer. Let's give it a little push and see what happens because we reckon it's really good. No, none of that. None of it. It was a waste of time. It was definitely a waste of $15. If it all went to Jason, I'm all right with that. But if any of it went to the people that filmed it or came up with any of those ideas, thank you. It was $15 up somebody's.
Okay, so it's a distinct thumbs down from my co-host Tim Wallace. However, from me, it gets a. If you've seen a PM Entertainment movie and you want
And
to
you possess
see,
a fast forward button.
and you want to see Statham, I think doing more action than he's done in a long, long time. And by action, I mean like the fun kind of bollocks, balls to the wall, lots of shooting, lots of fighting.
With by the way, a gun with an unreasonable amount of bullets.
Yeah, again, you're picking holes in,
No.
like a
No.
B-movie action movie.
No,
right?
but that's what I'm saying.
At the end of Army of Darkness, he fires like 140 rounds out of a double-barreled shotgun.
Which is totally fine, but I'm saying there was a point in the movie, right, where he stuck on board, and there was a point when he shot somebody 3 times in the head. I was like, oh, he's only got a little gun. He didn't need to shoot the guy 3 times in the head. And then the sequence went on for another 10 minutes.
He did run out of bullets.
I know, but after he fired like 1 million, which is fine. I get that it's a stupid movie, but it just annoyed me.
That's okay. That's a good.
Just
okay.
reload.
So this is
fine.
that's a good word for it, right?
What?
It's the movie is completely stupid. Everything about the movie is completely stupid.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that. Like the bit
You enjoyed
where
enough of it at the end.
I enjoyed enough of it. Like the bit at the. Thank you so much. The bit where the big fucking country-sized boat that the bad guy lives in, right? And
by the way, were you worried that
he
he had the wrong boat? I was worried he had the wrong boat because he comes to Sydney Harbour in a helicopter going, we've got to find the boat. The boat's gone. All right, well, let's look. There can't be too many big boats around. And, you know, they fly way out to sea and they find a boat and goes, oh, there, that's it. Even though he's never seen the boat before. It's a total guess. And he lands on the boat and starts killing everybody. And I was really thinking, is this the wrong boat?
Yeah, they wouldn't
Is
do
that going to be... No, but I thought there might be like a joke.
But there's a hilarious bit where the boat has a see-through bottom in a couple of points. And like Statham, like swimming up to the see-through bottom, looking, and then swimming away again, had me howling. I don't know why it was so funny to me, but I just thought I'm going to go with this. Also, there was a distinct feeling of that's another good example, that this is Jason Statham's Roger Moore Bond film, because it was very much like a middling Roger Moore Bond film.
Actually, if I had
like
to go...
even down to the soundtrack, like when he was doing the whole big boat thing at the end, there was a lot of like ba-da, ba-da-da, ba-da, like there was a lot of like
and there was like
horns
I wonder if they had that in their head. Now
was-
that
it
you
was-
mention it, there's a lot like
Hang
that in
gliding?
there. Yeah, the hang gliding.
Is that what it's called? Is it called a hang glider?
Yeah. There's improbable escapes from that also made no sense.
I just love the way that he rubbed on himself Shark Picard. Like nobody thought.
I know.
Also, the fact that he looked at all these different people and went, "Do you know what? I think if I disguise myself as a child molester by drawing some dice on my face, people might believe it."
No, it wasn't. It was a rapist. It was a mass rape. It was so weird. Just a bank robber.
He was a sex offender.
Yeah, but they had pictures of like the women. It was so weird. It was
right.
Oh, so he's going to let a sex offender get off then? Like, he'll go free. They'll never catch him.
Yeah, it was all a bit weird. But I did like. Did you like the way?
Does he have to be a rapist?
Did you like the way that the bad guy, like in? Okay, this was a thing that you could tell it was such a patch job. Was the voiceover by the bad guy?
Oh my god, that was
who
so
was
annoying.
trying to outdo Statham by going, "Yeah, he's a gun runner. He's a gun runner, don't you know what I mean? Anyway, he's been really bad to children, so he should die." Like all the voiceover in the lead up to him doing a mission was emphasizing just how bad these people were, so that we weren't sat at home going, "What? Oh, I hope Statham doesn't kill someone else." Like, but what about all the people who were just
Working. I know.
hired help on the boat who were like, "We're security
Completely
details for
slaughtered.
this guy."
Yeah.
completely
But just
slaughtered
hired.
them. Yeah.
He just turned up in Sydney going, "Hello, I'm in Sydney for a few days. Do you mind if I hire you to look after my boat?" "Yeah, no problem, Governor. I tell you what, we'll give you Steve. Steve's lovely. We'll put you, right? He can be your lead bodyguard because he's just had a baby and he could use the extra money."
Yeah.
You're like, everybody gets on with Steve. Steve's got 3 bullets in his head because Statham has a gun. And like,
But that's what I mean. The movie
shark
got over concerned with Jason, like Statham's motivation. And look, I wouldn't put it past Statham to have been on set going, no, I wouldn't do that. I need some explanation for why I would do that. Like I wouldn't.
No,
I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying I wouldn't put it past him reading the script and going, I wouldn't just do that. I wouldn't just kill him. I need a reason, so that his integrity as the hero of the film.
But
because it's very difficult to make a movie about an assassin that just like kills for money if you're not going to give him some kind of like
too much.
moral edge.
I agree. But if there was too much seriousness, like you're saying, serious attempts to address the motivation issue. And if the whole movie had
The
been...
voiceover
had
by
been-
the bad guy was so
but
bad.
it was
He
trying-
lives in an impenetrable
Yeah, it was all
fortress.
like those
with
heist
lots of-
things, you know. He's got 8 different layers of security, and then there's a picture of a camera. You go, a camera's not a level of security. Come on.
He lives in a
He'll never get, because all he did was especially the impenetrable bunker. He just waited outside until people walked out the door, and then walked in, and that was it. And he goes, I'm in the safe room. Oh, but he's already here. No explanation for why. The thing was, if they doubled down on all that, if they doubled down on the shark repellent, the shark gun, and the gun that never ran out of bullets, and he could just walk into safe rooms and all that. That's completely cool. If instead of impersonating a mass rapist, it had been, I don't know, a guy that robbed the.
I really
prisoner,
wanted him to put on a fake wig and beard and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Would have
just
been so much more
If they
fun.
doubled down on all that stuff,
Yeah.
then no one would go, oh, what's his motivation? And no one would care. But when I have to sit through an hour and a half of what felt like Jason Statham on a beach going, well, I'm really falling for this Alba chick. She's nice, isn't she? All right. But that could be, you could get that done in 5 minutes, and we could get on with more shark repellent gags.
Why is Michelle
you're
Yeoh my
right.
best friend, but she does bugger all?
It's fine to be Roger Moore. They should have got Winner in as a consultant.
Winner was dead.
Oh well, fine, okay. Well, from Beyond the Grave,
Winner would have gone,
You know
Albert,
what?
darling, you've got to take your top off. That's what
They should have hired a psychic who professed to have a direct link to Michael Winner Beyond the Grave to consult.
Listen,
the script
Jason, I
doctor.
loved what you did with the first mechanic, but I think you need to know what you do with a sequel.
Yeah.
It's quite simple. More guns, more boobs. That is the winner.
And shark repellent. I've always wanted to do shark repellent, and I've never had the chance.
If you can shoot it in London,
But seriously,
But set it in New York.
and if you can give him a World War I Gatling gun, so much the better, dear boy.
if you could have had on set,
What you basically need is you need to find a director who does nothing but sit in a chair, smoke cigars, and talk about how he knew Michael Caine once. That's what you do.
look at Michael Caine, that would be fine. He would sit in a chair and smoke a cigar and talk about how he knew himself once.
I tell you what, if Michael Caine had been the bad guy, I would have listened to that voiceover. Do you know what I mean?
If any, who the hell even was that guy?
Nobody. He's like Luke Evans in the Fast and Furious. You're like, who? Like just some generic Cockney
There's just
wank.
so many weird, funny-looking, crazy
But
old
if it was
actors
Michael
out
Caine who
there.
went, hey, he's got a swimming pool inside the top of his building. You've got to go in. You've got to get a swimming pool and kill him. Like, you'd at least be like, all right, I'm listening to Michael Caine. He's saying some bonkers shit.
He's been in some. I mean, he was in The Last Witch Hunter, so he's available for bollocks.
Yeah, and
Let's not.
he was also a bad guy in the Steven Seagal movie about the
Oh
Native
yeah, the
Americans.
Alaska mining thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
With,
where
terrible
he's-
black hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Get him. Hey, Mike, do you want to? What colour hair do you want now? You know what I mean? Anything you like, Mike. Seriously.
Can I sit at a table? Can I smoke cigars? And can I drink tea? And can I occasionally say, hello? If so, I'll do the film. That's how it should have been. We've recast it. Get out. Tommy Lee
That's
Jones.
fine.
I have no idea what he was doing.
It was
Tommy
doing
Lee
that-
Jones went, can I have a goatee and a leather jacket and twin earrings?
I think my
and-
character would have an earring. Oh, fuck off. You're fired.
Do you think Tommy Lee Jones was trying to be the Under Siege character but older?
No, they really thought he was like a guy, an arms dealer with a. It made no sense.
Also, an arms dealer who had a fleet of
So I know.
fleet of submarines.
His submarines are really precious to him. Why? He's an arms dealer, not an arms user. He doesn't wander around in his submarines blowing up oil rigs with
Wait a
his
minute.
massive guns.
Have you got arms? Do you use them or deal them?
Yeah. As if you deal them. I'm like,
Okay, it was bollocks, but I thought I was.
you were able to sit through the
Happy-
bollocks and still be
happily
happy enough
enjoyed
at
the
the end.
bollocks.
And that's fine. You recognised what it was, and you got what you wanted at the end.
Yeah.
It had lost me.
So imagine,
Way before
imagine a Roger Moore Bond movie made by the PM Entertainment. That's what you're getting with Jason Statham in the lead.
And a sad absence of the of Michael Winner from Beyond the
Yeah,
Grave.
a sad absence of winner-esque genius.
Yeah, but specifically,
I tell you what,
get somebody
like-
to take their top off, do a crash zoom on it, dear boy, and
But
then
really,
we'll pick up a World
it's
War
not
One.
just Michael Winner, right?
No.
Specifically, I think what it needed was Michael Winner's spirit being channeled
Yeah.
by like a fraudulent psychic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but like Chinese, like Chinese whispers kind of thing. Like,
Or
it'd be slightly
you could have
misheard,
had Michael
you know?
Caine. You could have had Michael Caine as the East End gangster who had been bringing up child soldiers.
I want to see the prequel to the Mechanic. Because I think somebody should be forced to sit and write the prequel
Yeah.
to the East End gangs that kidnap children and train them to be child soldiers.
Yeah.
Where are these East End? Where are there like Cockney, like
I think it
thin
just-
Cockney sick-looking children
Yeah.
wandering the globe?
Yeah.
Oh, no, are they the ones? Are they in Tommy Lee Jones' submarines? Are they
Yeah, I
armed
think that's what it
solely
is.
by
Also,
Cockney midgets?
why was the henchman that he never...
That was weird because it was like he looks a bit like Statham. Is there going to be something?
Right, yeah, first of all,
But no, he just got his head blown off.
there were two henchmen. There was the one that wore way too much eyeliner, which was just disturbing.
Yeah, that was weird.
He looked like Randy Couture in drag. That's what he looked like. He looked like Randy Couture in drag.
Yeah.
And had like a very orange face and heavy eyeliner and a bad wig. And then when he corked it and Statham was attacking the boat, there was then this other goon who was like 6'7" and looked distinctly Russian. And I was like, oh, he's going to do a great fight with him. And that never happened.
No.
Also, I don't believe for a second that whiny wine face with his eyes too far apart and his beige leisure suit could have taken Statham down even for a second.
No. I really wanted
Also, if you can't actually blow up a boat, don't blow up a boat. Like, the CGI of the blown up boat was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it
also-
might as well have been in 3 like chunky bits of Lego that just fell into a pool.
Also, like Statham's hiding in the boat. Just jump off the fucking boat.
Right.
Get into the boat later. You don't have to be on the boat when it explodes.
No, but he goes, what makes you think I'm going to swim, right?
Yeah.
Was the line. And he
Yeah.
ran into where there were, by the way, like 3 or 4 speedboats. And I was like, the way you end this film...
Or the
is you
helicopter.
have-
I thought he was going to get on
or
the
the
helicopter.
The way you end this film is as the boat's exploding, Statham catapults out of the boat with magic, catapults out of the boat in a speedboat, and then like lands right next to Alba. Alba opens the little hatch of her escape pod and goes, "Oh, James," and then they go off into the sunset. That's how you
Yeah,
end
he
the
gets
movie.
into the escape pod and they float off and then the Queen rings.
No, he's in the speedboat.
No,
He
I
goes
know. I'm
off in
saying
the speedboat.
no, but if he's going to go, he should. If this is the Roger Moore film, him and her in the thing, floating along, and the camera pans away, and then he gets a call from the Queen.
No, but he can't. He can't. They can't.
And they
both-
go, well, it's a diving ball.
diving ball.
There's going to be some weak pun around the fact that it's a diving bell.
I guess our boy is bobbing in the ocean. So.
Yeah, something like that. Looks like he's bobbing.
Looks like he's bobbing for Albert. Anyway, and on
for
that
tits.
note, I think we should end the film, Jason, with bobbing for tits.
He's
with
speaking
that-
to me now. He's telling me that the film should be called Bobbing for Teats.
And Albert goes, "No, I don't do nudity. I've never done you. Pop your top off."
Do nudity, but what she like?
Oh, that love scene was so painful. Have 2 people ever been more awkward in a love scene than those 2?
Oh, I'm
Statham
sure
and
we
Albert.
could pick out a
It
couple of Bond
was so
films.
awful.
I'm sure we could pick out a couple of Bond films.
Pop your top off, Albert. I just wanted Winner to do it. You're right. Had Winner directed it, it would have been so much better.
I agree with you. If you
I
watch it,
really wanted to come in here and like sing its praises, but you have kind of convinced me of it being a bit crap. But the action is really good. I will keep saying this.
no, the action is really good
enjoy
at the beginning and at the end, and in between it's
awful tits.
It's awful. It's awful steaming tittery from start to. Yeah.
Anyway, I have to go to the bathroom. This has been fun. But my recommendation is definitely watch the first Mechanic. Definitely. And if you're feeling in the mood for a straight-to-video action wham-bammery and you find it one night on Netflix, Mechanic Resurrection, worth a look from about 45 minutes in.
Oh, that's generous. I'd probably go from the beginning of the...
Oh, that's generous. Watch the first 10 minutes, skip forward to an hour.
As soon as he... Skip forward to the bit where he rubs the shark repellent on, which is kind of amusing, and from that point on, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Because the second kill is okay, and
I
then
love the fact that it's like no one's ever escaped because no one has been to the shop where they sell shark begot except you. He just wanted it. It wasn't even like he went to like some high-class expensive thing.
No.
He just wandered into a shanty town and there was some guy there who was selling, do you want like some shark rub in case you want to go pop?
I think I might come in handy.
Yeah,
I am
right.
jumping off an island surrounded by sharks.
Yeah.
I might need me some shark repellent.
It's bloody handy that they're selling shark begone in Thailand. So with that, that has been Mr. James Wallace and Mr. Jon Cross for the After Movie Diner.
I just wanted to say one quick thing.
Jason Statham, the mechanic.
While I was sitting
watch
there-
them or don't. Doesn't really matter to me.
While I was sitting there watching it, at the end, when I was like bored and annoyed with it, I did think the only saving grace is I am going to enjoy talking about this with you.
Yeah.
That was why I really wanted to do this, because otherwise it would have been $15 completely wasted.
Yeah.
But I felt like I definitely got my money's
I
worth
can
just
make
here.
I can make it better instantly.
Go on.
Michael Winner directs it.
Yes.
The bad guy, instead of being a kid that escaped from the East End gangster, is the East End gangster played by Michael Caine.
Yes.
And the Tommy Lee Jones role,
Yes.
which is the guy who he double crosses Michael Caine for,
Yes.
is played by Roger Moore. And the whole thing is directed by Michael Winner.
Yes. Yes.
It's a better film, instantly.
Yes.
Instantly a better film.
Yes.
And, I'm an arms dealer with a conscience. And Michael Caine going, you'll never get here. It's an impenetrable bloody fortress. Statham goes, just tell me where I go.
Just tell me where the tits are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you have to have, instead of Albert, someone will get a Norks out. That's who you have. Winner will probably audition people for quite some time.
That's why,
Come in, love. Pop your top on the stool.
that's when the mobile phones are out of date.
Yeah.
It's how long it takes Winner to audition for tests.
Jason's on a Tonight Show. He's like, well, I did have this movie, Mechanic Resurrection, coming out, but it's been stalled. What? For tits. Winner's still looking at him. It's been years, yeah. Is it true that Michael Caine and Roger Moore are also looking at him?
Or you use this TV. Because away
They're all just sat there. The whole room is thick with cigar smoke.
I have Netflix. I mean, this TV is also
That's what Winner's autobiography should be called. Cigar smoking tits.
Excellent. Right, I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
That was fun. What a load of old bollocks.
Well,
Eh?
that was loads more entertaining than the movie.
Well, back in 2011, I find a movie going to see. A film by Jim and John Movie starring Iggy Pop and me. But when the show was over, I'd nowhere to go, so I'd end up in a bar, sipping my bourbon and feeling low. One night, this wild-looking guy called Frank came over and asked me why I looked so sad as I drank. I told him about my post-movie blues, and then I saw the light in his glass eyes. He told me to go to the After Movie Diner. I'm surprised you don't know there's no place finer. Come on now, let's go. Well, Mr. Jon Cross, well, he's a man. He's a man with a beard and a man with a plan. Yeah, yes. With Jim and John and Madam Mark, tune in to French Cobbler to start. Yes, and reviews, opinions, interviews, comedy and news, Don Doler and his films, and George Stover at the After Movie Diner. Now it's 5 years old. There's nowhere finer. That's the place to go. the after movie diner. It's where I go. Oh, that after movie diner. It's one hell of a show. I just killed that rattlesnake with skillet pants.